Hey there, outliers. Niiamah Shang here, and thank you so much for letting us be a part of your journey here today. I cannot wait to introduce you to this incredible outlier who is not only playing the game at his level, but finds ways to expand it for himself and the others he plays with. We have Antonio Taylor. Antonio, thank you so much for making the time here, and thank you for bringing your experience in addition to your expertise to today's conversation. Appreciate
Thank
you.
you. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, man, it's good to have you here. Let's play a little bit. Let outliers get a chance to get to know you. Do you mind sharing more about uh, you and the game that you're playing?
Yeah, so my name is Antonio Taylor. I am a IT executive. I've been in IT and technology for almost 30 years. And the game that I'm trying to play at this point in time is trying to empower people to show up and be the best version of themselves. Eliminate imposter syndrome, eliminate the need for validation and affirmation, and really walk into the calling that you have on your life and do the things that you were created to do. And you don't need anybody to tell you what that is. It was put in you by God Himself when He created you. So it's getting out of the shadows of performance, getting out of the shadows of needing somebody to pull you along, and just really walking in who God has called you to be and being that super power that you actually are.
So now you're talking about like being called in. I'm not sure if you
Yeah,
saw my face on that one, but I'm like,
yeah,
ooh, because
yeah,
we started out our conversation here. And I said, hey, look, this is how I changed the world,
yep.
right? And I didn't know that last week.
Hmm.
I thought I had to do this in order to do the next thing, in order to do the next. I'm like, oh, this is
Yeah,
it. I'm
yeah.
actually answering the calling. So I know you wrote a book. Let's make sure that outliers know what that book is called, what drives it. We're gonna spend more time on the you behind the book, rather than the chapters themselves. But like, tell us a little bit about it.
So yeah, so here's the book. It's called "Stop Trying to Be a Leader." I don't know
Okay.
if you can see that there.
Yeah. Oh,
And
there it is. It's coming through.
yeah,
Sometimes the
yeah,
blur is a bit too
yeah,
strong.
yeah. But it's called "Stop Trying to Be a Leader." And the premise of the book is pretty much what I just reiterated. There's so many people, including myself, for so long, who are trying to be what they already are, right? Didn't even realize that's who you were, and that's what you've been gifted and talented to do. And so you are trying to find something that you actually already are. And so the premise of the book is like, hey, you don't have to try to be you. You just be you, right? And whatever that means, whatever gifts and talents that is that you bring to the table, don't try to be that anymore. There's not I wish there was a red and a blue pill, right? That you could take and that could determine the course of who you're going to be in life. But the reality of the fact is who you're going to be is already inside of you. And there's no need for you to try to be that. You just got to go and own that in your mind and own that in your belief, and then just go up and show up as the best version of yourself every single day. So the book really isn't about leadership. The book is really about an individual as themselves. And what I mean by that is in every space, you're a leader. And you're a leader if somebody's following you, and somebody's following you whether you know it or not. So you're either leading them the right way or the wrong way. And so stop trying and just be. That's the message of the book. Stop trying, just be.
There's an element here. Thank you. Like, people, I would go out and people, there's something in that message that really resonates with me.
Hmm.
Really, really resonates with me. One of my favorite songs is from The Greatest Showman.
Hmm.
Um, this is me.
Hmm.
The real like a lot of the person that you see me as right now, I couldn't have been that. I couldn't have shown up this way in the past.
Hmm.
Like I'm a
Hmm.
recovering people pleaser. So, when you say like stop trying and just be, it really hits me. It really hits me.
Hmm.
Like tell me here, Antonio, like uh when did this become clear to you? Like make this real for us. Like when did you realize that you were out there trying rather than being and play it out for us?
A year ago.
Mm.
So I'm approaching 50. I've been in technology, like I said, almost 30 years. And a year ago, 2 months after moving from Memphis and moving my wife away from Memphis, where I was born and raised in, I lost my job. Right. And in
So
this
you moved
job
from Memphis to
to
this place
Arizona,
for your job.
well, so I was still working at the company and they allowed me to say, hey, you can work remote. We're totally fine with that. The company was based out of Memphis. But the thing
Yeah.
is, I had been already groomed as the next C-suite executive in that space. And
Yes.
so in the drop of a dime, it's like boom, like, hey, we're making a corporate decision and your role is not going to be needed anymore. And so I was just like, whoa, I've sacrificed a lot. Um, why, like, how do we get here? right?
Mm,
And then as I started to have some downtime, um, I started to realize like, dang, I've been doing everything that you guys have wanted me to do. I don't even know who I am anymore. And so I actually got a little agitated at myself. And I just said, you know what? If I'm going to lose the game, I'm going to lose it playing under my terms,
mm,
right? I'm no longer going to be more loyal to a company than I am to myself. I'm no longer going to be more loyal to a boss. I'm not going to no longer walk in the shoes that you have and you to think that I should walk in. That may have worked for you and your plight in life and how you got to where you are, but everybody's plight is different. And so it's not your job to tell me how to do it. It's your job just to bring out the best in me. And once I realized I had been performing for so long, right? Because talents and gifts allow you to get to master some of those things. I realized at that point I got to be me and I got to stop trying and just be me, unapologetically me. And it shifted my focus when I lost that job to like, dang, I went out and I wasn't even on my own terms. And so that's when I wish I could say this was some happened at 10, 15. No, it actually happened last year when I lost my job. It's like, oh, light bulb goes off. I'm never being in this position again.
oof. Like I appreciate you here because I think that like this is what I hear is like you had 30 really good years professionally of this thing, right? Like
Hmm.
you look around you and everything
Hmm.
was lining up. You're like getting groomed for the next C-suite role. I can go do this. Like I don't have to be physically here to do it, so on and so
Hmm.
forth. And then the rug was pulled out, right? Something
Hmm.
happened, like outside of your control. And from what I'm hearing is like then you got a chance to like see. You got to see what was
Hmm.
around. You got to see you, and you're like, wait a minute,
Hmm.
hold on.
Hmm.
Hold on, right? And then what I love about this here, and this speaks to you, is that like within a year, you created your own platform.
Yep,
You know what I'm
absolutely.
saying? Tell
Absolutely.
tell us about that because this is where I was like, because there's outliers out there that are choosing to do the safe thing. And look, I gotta be real. I'm still in that boat, right?
Hmm.
I'm still like choosing to do the safe thing here. Now,
Hmm.
it's showing up as okay. What does the market want me to be? What's the
Hmm.
way that I describe this business so that my future clients hear it and say, yes, that's it. I'm
Hmm.
like, that's not
Hmm.
how I do it. It doesn't work for me. That's not
Hmm.
me being unapologetic. That's just me trying to figure out how to make it work as opposed to like
Hmm.
recognize that it already does. So
Yeah.
take me, Antonio, like you turned it on. You
Hmm.
got a book out, you got all this stuff, you
Hmm.
turned it on.
Hmm.
So tell us about like this last year then for you here, because I think that there's a lot of us that are thinking, oh, we missed our boat, we did this and the other. You're like, I'm about to turn 50. Turned it on last year, like, let's
Hmm.
go. Tell us
Yeah.
about that.
So as long as you have breath in your body, you haven't missed your boat. There's still an opportunity. There's still time for you to go out there and discover. I don't even want to say discover. There's more opportunity for you to go ahead and walk into who you are and what your calling is. And so I like to be open, honest, and transparent. Me and my wife, I'm an empty nester now, right? And so my kids are grown, right? And part of what I said earlier is like I don't like to put my plight on other people. This may have been a different view if I had small kids, right? I may have been like, well, hold on a second, you can't just be gone every month because you're speaking, man. You got kids, right? And so I wouldn't push that on anybody. But here's what I would say: I would say whatever space you're in, make sure that the space you're in is the space you're supposed to be in, and you're doing that for you. And here's what I mean by that. I spoke last week and I said everywhere you go is a stage because you're the stage, right? And so if you are somebody who's working in the comfort of the job, right? Own the comfort, own that job, right? Don't do it because somebody told you to do it. Don't do it how somebody told you to do it. You can still find you in that space, right? And you don't have to be confined to a role, confined to a title, confined to somebody's perception of you. You still can go out and shine tremendously in that space that you're in. I know this because I got proof, right? I got the NBA. I got national awards for being leaders. I got all those. I've been to New York walking the red carpet for tech leadership. I got all the accolades, right? And I was able to do extremely well in that space. And I'm still doing extremely well in that space. But I also recognize there's something deeper inside of me, right? And I also recognize, back to the book, I also recognize there are more people like me than we realize. There are more people who are like, dang, like there's something pulling me. There's something tugging at me. There's more people praying every single night, hey, don't let my job go tomorrow, right? And I'm just saying to you, you can start working on what that next step looks like now, right? You don't have to wait until that time comes before you to realize, dang, I should have been preparing for this a long time ago. I should have been, tapped into that business. And You don't have to stop cold turkey and like, hey, I still work, right? But as the business grows and when that moment comes, when it's cut off time, then I'll cut that off. And so for me, this past year has been it's been refreshing. And I say that because this is the first time in a long time that I did something just for me. I didn't do it because I need to provide for my family. I didn't do it because my kids needed the resources. I didn't do it because it's going to further my career. This is something that I did for me. I didn't even know what this was going to turn out to be. And I didn't know I was going to get the reception that I was going to get. I didn't know I was going to get the opportunities that are coming that I was going to get. And I wasn't doing it for that. I was just saying, you know what? I'm just doing this for me. I need to get this out for me. And most of us in life spend so much time doing for others. Not that that's bad at all, but you forget about you, right?
So this is cool. So like I'm coming in and I'm gonna go on this part of I'm doing this for me, right?
Yep.
Because there's something in there. I think there's something really juicy about like, oh, in a year, like you
Yeah.
just pop this off, right? And
Yeah.
what I hear from you is you're like, look, I'm not doing it full time even. Like I wrote a book, I'm out here, I'm like promoting, and I still have other things that I'm doing, right?
Yep.
Like, but
Yep.
I'm doing it from a different place. I'm
You're
doing
doing it for me.
like this part at least is for you. Like, let's get into because I'm thinking about outliers out there who have a mission, have a message. Maybe they don't have a mission yet. Maybe they have a message, or they know that they're here something. They're being called into something, but
Mhm.
they're thinking about their reality, and they're like, "Well, I can't get on like podcasts. I can't go out there and promote this. Like, who would want to hear this?
Mhm.
I might have the idea of a book, but 2 years goes by, still not a
Mhm.
page written, so on and so forth. Tell me how that element of doing it for you made the difference or made a difference in
Mhm.
you showing up the way you show up right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So because the imposter syndrome is real, right? And so you tell yourself these stories like, "Hey, I'm not good enough. Nobody's going to read this," and so forth and so on. The beauty in doing it for you is not about people, right? It's not about the numbers. It's not about the sales. It really isn't, right? There's a sense of freedom when it's just, "Hey, I just got to check this box for me. I just got to remind myself who I am. If five people buy it, or 5,000 or 5 million, that's great. At the end of the day, I still get to check that box for me, right? It's such a dichotomy, but when I start thinking about you and I'm doing it for you, I, your mind does some trick where it puts you in performance mode because now I'm trying to figure out what he wants to hear, and I'm not being authentic anymore. And so you got to push through that, right? You got to push through the noise of, wait a minute, how are they going to respond to this? Is anybody? I'm telling you right now, there's billions of people on the earth. Somebody wants to hear your message, right? There's somebody who's sitting at home wondering how they come out of what they're in, and all they need is to see you come out to give them hope that they can come out as well. So you got to push past that mental. You got to push past that imposter syndrome. You got to push past those voices in your head. You got to push past those negative naysayers in your corner, right? Whether that's your family saying, "Hey, now not the right time. Hey, you're too busy. When are you going to find time to do these things?" You got to push past all of that, right? Because at the end of the day, that burning sensation inside of you is not going to leave until you get it out. Period. Right? You're
This
not.
is
It's not going to leave. So you got to get it out, right?
I love this. It's so funny because as you're talking, I was like, was Antonio at this meeting, like hanging out here? Did I get bugged or something like this? I literally just left the car before I came here, and um, we were going around with a small group mastermind. I make sure that I surround myself with people who challenge my thinking on a regular
Hmm.
basis because like I'm acting and I'm going to keep moving. And I brought up something in there, and I was like, I'm having a hard time XYZ, right? In particular, it was like, how do I speak about the work that I do in a way?
Hmm.
And one of those people leaned at me and she's like, "What are you doing, dude? And that's not your job. Your job
Yeah.
is not to try and figure out how other people figure it out. Your job is just to live, to
Hmm.
do it, to be out there. This is not for you to hold on to.
Hmm.
Like you don't need to figure this out. Like your message is
Hmm.
already clear. You might just need to
Yep.
go talk to more people, right? You said there's billions of people out there. It's like you just might need to talk to more people before like they come in. But someone's literally tuned their antenna, their life to your station.
Hmm.
You just haven't increased the strength of the signal to actually
Hmm.
reach them. So go do that. And like
Yeah.
if most people don't hear it, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. It's not for them right now. But you go do
Hmm.
you.
Hmm.
And like as soon as I leave that conversation, here we are, Antonio, and I feel like there's another variation of like what that looks like again,
Hmm.
right? What that
Yep.
looks like out there. Tell me more. What's coming to you as I bring this story in.
Man, I love what you're saying because it is that conversation and that confirmation, right? That sometimes we need to say like, dang, okay, how many times do I got to bump my head up against the wall before I hear the same message? And I just, I get out of my own way, right? I talk about this in the book, like at some point you got to get out of your own way. And you gotta do it scared, right? Whatever that looks like, right? Do it scared, right? Because you don't know what that's gonna yield when you throw it out there into the universe. And the thing about where you are and where I am in my space, you're doing a podcast that lasts forever, right? So you're right. Nobody may hear it right now, but I still read Good to Great, and that was wrote in what 20, 30 years ago, right? And it's still probably the number one leadership book. I don't think it was that, I don't think when he wrote it, he thought it was going to yield what it's going to yield 30 years later, right? My book is in print. It's never going anywhere unless Amazon shuts down, right? And so every time somebody types in leader, my book may pop up, right? 5, 10, 15 years from now, where it's doing a cohort, right? And so you're not always going to get those yield, those returns on your investment right away. That's why it's called an investment, right? And if you're willing to play, go back to the game, if you're willing to play the long game, right, it'll pay off, right? And so even though I'm new to the game of a leader, I've been a leader for 20 years now. I'm new to the authoring of the book, right? But I've been a leader for 20 years. I got that, I got that down pat. So I didn't start this out when I was young and I wrote a book and like, oh my God, nobody wants to read it. It's like, no, I know what people want to hear. I know what they need to hear, and I know how to make sure that they tap into that inner person inside of them that's been dying to come out. That little thing that won't let you sleep at night, and you just keep pulling you into this direction until you actually do it. I know how to speak to that and tap into that. So for me, just even hearing you, recall that, it's like, yeah, because somebody needs to hear my message, and it doesn't have to be anything about leadership. It's about you as an individual realizing, hey man, just do you. Stop thinking about it. Just do you.
Do you mind if I reflect some things that happen that I'm hearing in real time?
Absolutely.
All right, so welcome to conversation with me, right? So I hear what you're saying, but I'm almost always listening for what's being said underneath, and
Uh-huh.
I heard someone's like, you can talk word to word, but you can also talk heart to heart. You can talk
Mm-hmm.
inner wisdom to their like
Mm-hmm.
so on and so forth. And so as you're talking, I'm like, I'm hearing, I'm hearing the way in which you're saying this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny here. So by the time that I'm going to say this out loud so that people know, by the time that this goes out, everything's going to be synced. But like you're actually coming through a bit lagged on my end, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
I hear you, and then like a second or later, I see what's coming through, and what's going on for me as you're talking. I was like, oh, this is it. This is it modeled. This is it
Mm-hmm.
modeled where it's like I hear the conviction in your voice. I
Mm-hmm.
see it come through. So I hear it and then I
Mm-hmm.
get it reinforced again, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a level of like this is your message, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and you're living it proudly, you're owning it completely, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's energizing to you. Like, I don't like there may be other things that other people can say, but this is what I'm here to say. And I am
Mm-hmm.
saying it. So
Mm-hmm.
everything's in alignment right now. Let me make
Mm-hmm.
sure I bring that out. Like that, I have to let you know that it's not just the words that are coming through here. It is you being the vessel that is delivering it. It is in
Mm-hmm.
alignment. It feels congruent. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
grateful for that. I am
Yeah.
really, really grateful for that.
Yeah. Good. You want to know where that comes from?
Tell me.
So I talk about this in the book. I'll give this away. All right. The last chapter of the book, when I talk about get out of your own way and eliminate the imposter syndrome, I ask people to do a life resume. Right. Now, most we all know what a resume is. And most of the time we do a resume based on the job we want. That's what we put down in the resume. It's what
Mm,
we're good at, right? But over the course of time, as you grow, some of the stuff you start to forget that you accomplish, right? And so I say, you know what? Go back and do a life resume and go back as far as you want to go back to make you realize who you actually are. So for me, I was in the seventh grade. I was voted best all around by my peers in the seventh grade, right? So that excitement you hear is that seventh grade little boy who's been trying to get out forever, right? And he's not a 49-year-old man, he's still a 7-year-old boy. So now that he's finally out, he's like, oh my God, I'm finally outside. I'm so excited. I've been waiting to get out. And that's what that is. I tell people, tap into who you were, you just didn't become. That's always been inside of you. And I guarantee you, you can go back to a place in time when you were younger where you could be like, dang, it makes sense. I remember how my family talked about how I used to always be the kid who did this and did that, and who always inspired people. And you're like, you've been trying to figure out all your life about who are you, and it's like, and that inner boy is saying, hey, I'm right here. So for me, that excitement comes because that little boy is now able to speak in the form of a 49-year-old man.
That's cool. I really really appreciate you bringing that in. Like, so you're getting me to think here. There's two things. One, I'm always like, I can never really remember my childhood, but there's enough for like I know me enough
Yeah.
to know the difference, right? But I do remember my college years. And
Hmm.
I remember college, you're an empty nester, right? Well, I
Hmm.
feel like college for me was like I finally flew out of the nest, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, so what am I gonna do? I'm like, I have infinite time. I can make my own choices, so on and so
Yep.
forth. I didn't get money, so I was like, I can spend what I need to spend,
Yeah.
you know? And but what's coming to me is that was like I anchor back into that a lot sometimes where
Hmm.
I was like, oh, I could do anything, I could be anything, and this is how I chose to show up.
Yeah.
Like for that there was a window where I was like, oh, that was great. There was the
Hmm.
window extended beyond there. But I really love this. You know, I'll bring this into the conversation because I have up until this last week I was really in my head, really in my
Hmm.
head for like around how do I get everything to line up. I was like, if I can get the business mechanics to look right, then that will legitimate, that will create security.
Hmm.
You know, back in the day, I used to be like, oh, if I get the logo right, then that will make it. You know, even here in like the podcast, like I don't like I make sure we have great conversation live that's full of energy. I'm not trying to
Hmm.
do much in like the back end with editing. Like I had to tell you this because I'm like I normally don't do anything. It's just
Hmm.
like it's just we just have good, great conversation and we give
Hmm.
people a chance to come in. And so it's really cool being in this space right now, just like tapping into that energy of like what I feel is like you're unleashed in the world.
Hmm.
That's what I feel. I feel like Antonio's been unleashed and he's like, hey, by the way, it's really good. It's
Yeah.
really good on this side of the line here. Like just
Yeah.
let's just let go of the tethers and let's just go with that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's important. And you brought something up that I lean into as well. And that is stop worrying about the stuff that you aren't the best at. Right.
Mm.
I had to learn this as well because when you're multi-talented, it's so easy to just, oh, I can do this, I can do that, I can do that, not realizing that you're pulling away from the energy that you need to be the best at what you're the best at. And so here's what I've done, just even to talk about business and back inside. There's a me, right? That's the video editor who's been trying to figure out, hey, I don't know how to edit. I love doing it. And it's like, whoa, wait. So you, you're like me. Your inner child has now found this is what you're supposed to do. There's a social media person whose inner child has always figured out how do I say what I love doing all this content. I love putting it together and blah 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 blah. And so instead of me doing all these things that I could do because I'm talented, I'm gonna find replicas of me in their space, right? And so let me find an audio guy because he knows more about audio than I can ever learn. And he does it with the same vigor and passion that I do it myself. Right. And that's why I like the book to speak to people and say, it's not about leadership. It's about you as an individual being the best at what you're created to be, and the freedom to actually be that, right? The freedom to actually say, you know what, I can just focus on this. I don't have to worry about anything else. I don't have to worry about how I look. I don't have to worry about how I dress. I don't have to worry about all the somebody else that does that. They're gonna worry about that for me, right? Because that's what they do. They're not worried about speaking. They're not worried about writing a book. All they're worrying about is, hey, I just need to be creative. You give me the video, I'll take care of it from here. And that's helped me so much because it's like I got to get out of my own way. I got to focus on what I'm best at speaking, empowering people through my message, whether that's via book, podcast, or actual speaking. That's it. Everybody else, you're passionate about this. You're passionate about this. Let's get together. Let's build this conglomerate of a team. And I know without a shadow of a doubt, I can give you assignments and I don't worry about it being incomplete because your passion for what you do matches my passion for what I do.
This is, I think, is really huge here, outliers, because we're used to in many different ways, like being one of the few, one of the only, one of a kind in the things that we do. I do think that like team leadership, like all that stuff is like just like one of the biggest cheat codes out there,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's like we get a chance to we can only live one life, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And by bringing on and doing this with others, we get a chance to like we all get a chance we get a benefit from not having to live that life. It's like, oh yeah, I could have or I would need
Yeah.
to, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like that's not there. And there's another thing that you're saying right now that really calls me, which is I used to call it's like when you give yourself the permission and the freedom to be all of you, you're
Hmm.
also giving other people the permission and freedom to be all of them. And now
Hmm.
this can be like in like an esoteric way, which I love to play, you know, the
Hmm.
abstract way. But like
Hmm.
there's something in what you're doing with the team building that I think it like brings it also to a practical thing.
Hmm.
Because Antonio's not like, all right, I need to be a video editor and an audio editor and all this stuff. In fact, I can just like be this and then
Hmm.
that now gives you the freedom to not have to do it, but it also
Hmm.
gives them the freedom to then go and be like, oh, I resonate with this person's message.
Hmm.
I could do
Hmm.
this work and like I can get paid to do this. I can be a
Hmm.
part of a team, so on and so
Hmm.
forth. And we're actually creating a place where everyone's joy has a space because we're not like, you know, hanging out in the wrong place, afraid that if we let
Hmm.
go of what we have, there may not be something better. When
Hmm.
I think of it as like musical chairs. Like
Yeah.
every once in a while, I'm like, somewhere in life as an adult, the music turns off, and
Hmm.
you just have to, and you just like you're like, I gotta pick a seat. It's
Yeah.
this
Pick a seat.
career. It's
Hmm.
okay. You know what? Maybe you know what? Maybe I'm gonna have children. Like
Hmm.
whatever it is. Like something happens and we pick a seat, and it's like,
Hmm.
oh, but was that wasn't the seat for you? You know, but we sat in it for years
Hmm.
and years and years, and it's like the moment we get up, someone's like, ah, is that spot
Hmm.
available? Because
Hmm.
this one feels a lot better for me right
Yeah.
now. I have
Yeah.
two young kids, so I'm thinking Goldilocks right now. You know,
Yeah.
this one feels just right. You know,
Absolutely.
but like, but I really get that sense, that feeling from you, Antonio. What comes up for you around like the idea of like creating more freedom by you choosing to like allow yourself to be free or to lean into you?
But first of all, it takes self-awareness and it takes self-accountability. So I really realized I was hurting my own self
Mhm.
by doing what I thought I should have to do, whether that's, hey, I don't have the resources to pay people, whatever that was, whatever excuse I told myself in my head that kept me doing 50 things when I only should be doing one. I realized that's part of my problem, right? I never would have wrote the book if I didn't lose the job. I lost a job, right? And I wrote the book because it's like, well, I ain't got nothing but time on my hand. I don't have any meetings to go to. And so without having the pressure of being available to everybody, I got to be available to me, right? And I got to show up for me. And I wrote the book, and now the book is out and it's good. But I had to realize that self-assessment myself. There's a lot of victim blaming that go on, even in our own internal. Well, nobody can work like me. Nobody is driven as I am. Nobody is as passionate as I am. And I heard a coach, Kobe Bryant is my favorite athlete of all time. I heard a coach talk about Kobe, and he said this quote. He said, Kobe says, if I can get my teammates to just all be great, and he goes, not Kobe Bryant great, just great in who they are and what they bring to the table will be unbeatable. And I was like, whoa, hold on a second. So you're not expecting them to be you, you're expecting them to be them. It was a game changer for me. And I was like, wait, why am I mad? Because people don't show up like I show up for my stuff. Like, let them be them and encourage and empower them to be them. So have some self-awareness, some self-accountability to realize when you are the problem, right? And you got to be able to give a little bit of trust. Hey, I know y'all don't do it like I do it, but y'all actually are doing pretty well now that I pay attention to it, right? You don't have to get up at 4 o'clock to do it. Why? Because you're extremely talented. So it may take me 6 hours, right? You got kids, right? You got to get up early, right? Well, you give it to somebody who's an empty nester, they're like, no, I'm not getting up at 4 to do this, man. It's gonna take me 30 minutes. I'm good. I'll get up at 10, right? And in the past, I would be like, oh my God, you don't even want to get up and do the work. You just want to build. And then I started to realize, like, wait, but they're doing the work and they're doing it extremely well. Let them do it extremely well. So it was a self accountability and a self assessment of how much I was sabotaging my own journey, like literally sabotaging my own journey. And I had to just get out of my own way.
Oof. I hear this and it's like I feel it. I feel it inside here. I feel I had to let go of something a
Yeah.
bit there. You know, I think that there's like as I hear it, I hear this element of like freedom begets freedom. All right.
Hmm.
Freedom begets
Hmm.
freedom, right? And you're like, wait a minute. If I can allow myself to be free to work in the ways that are best for me,
Hmm.
then I can allow other people to be free to work in the way that's best for them. And we
Hmm.
all just get our work done in the way
Hmm.
that just work is best. It's just best compounds on best, compounds on
Hmm.
best. Freedom
Hmm.
begets freedom, and so
Hmm.
forth. And it's like it's counterintuitive, right? It's like
Hmm.
I think about it's counterintuitive, especially when you're stressed.
Yes.
You know, we're right now like I think I think it's not unfair to say that there's global uncertainty or like
Hmm.
economically, politically, like there's a lot going on. Like there's a lot happening, you know?
Hmm.
And I think that there's something in there where it's like, wow, being able to take that time
Mm-hmm.
to extend freedom to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and thus allow it to extend freedom to others. I
Mm-hmm.
think that there's I'm catching some of the, like the cheat codes around. I'm like that's a path that like it keeps giving itself dividends. You pay it
Yeah.
once, and
Mm-hmm.
then like it just keeps coming back to you. You have that
Mm-hmm.
person that's like, you know what? I could go and work for someone else. They might be paying more, they might be this,
Mm-hmm.
but like they really have like this thing, 6 o'clock every morning, 6 a.m. They're like, so where is it? I'm like, I
Mm-hmm.
just want to sleep in. Like it is worth me knowing that it's gonna come regularly to me, that I don't have
Mm-hmm.
to worry about it, and I could be me
Mm-hmm.
if I'm working with other person. I think that there's these I worked my whole career was in human capital and people,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think there's a lot of these like intangible elements that oftentimes get devalued up front because it doesn't look
Mm-hmm.
like compensation. It doesn't look like a way of remuneration, or like, but it's
Mm-hmm.
like these are the things that matter, and it
Yeah.
continues to play itself out.
Yep. Yep. I
Yeah.
love it. I like to say I just want to create the opportunity for you.
Mm,
That's
mm,
it, right? And sometimes that opportunity is just awareness in yourself that you can do this, right?
yeah.
Sometimes that opportunity is me bringing you into my world where like I said, I'm an executive IT guy. I've been in IT for 30 years. I go to conferences, there's 600 executives there. If you got a business and that you're trying, hey, I'm trying to get into photography, but I want to do headshots. All right, cool. I want you to come with me to this conference and I'm going to set you up for success. Now, I'm not going to do the work, right?
Yep.
But I'm gonna jump on that stage and say, hey, when's the last time y'all had headshots? And nobody's gonna raise
Yep.
their hand. And I'm gonna say, great, my guy's right over there, right? Go get
Yeah.
his information, go get headshots. And so now I haven't paid you a dime, but I've helped build your business, right? And that cost me nothing to create that opportunity at all. I'm gonna be there anyway, right? And so I feel like in these spaces that we're in, we get so distracted to your point by what's going on in the world and the stress. And we have to own that, right? That's real. That's not going anywhere. That's a real feeling. That's a real emotion. But here's the thing that you got to combat that with. I can't do anything about that. I can't control that at all. Here's what I can't control: me, right? And so the thing that I control, that's what I put my energy into. What's gonna happen is gonna happen. At the end of the day, no matter where, when you're dealing with other things and other anomalies that are out there, I can't do anything about that, right? But I can't control me, and I would be as a competitive person and as a competitive athlete, I would be pissed that I allowed myself to lose because of something that I couldn't control.
Yeah, I like this here. The thing that's fun is like even in the elements of like competition, like you're like as a competitive athlete, right?
Mm,
Um, I'm still hearing like the teamness of it all,
hmm
and it goes back to like now I'm hearing a bit of the Kobe coming through, right? Where it's like,
hmm
hey, you know what? You're on my team. Let's go make sure this
hmm
person gets like
hmm
go get the headshots. Let's go down.
Yep.
And by the way, every single one of y'all in the audience now that decided to go do it, you're also gonna be hooked up too because he's really good
hmm
at what he does. Like
Yep.
so, we're finding these different ways, and I think that there's this the word freedom is what comes to mind. Really,
hmm
I think it's. Um, like what I'm enjoying about jamming and talking to you, Antonio, is that like I think it's partially like you see freedom in like in a certain like in a way that like aligns with me in the sense of like no one's stopping you from promoting someone else's headshots on thing, right? But like our general way is like, well, I'm on stage and like minute 46, this should be this, and like I have to go through the stack and let them know how they're going to work with me. I can't
hmm
be out there being generous to other people. And I
hmm
love like what I love is like, yeah, just the element of I can do it my way. Like,
hmm
I not even that I can, because can's nice, but then you
hmm
have to think about like stop trying. I think it lives in like the try world. Can is probably
hmm
a cousin of try
Yep.
right there, right? It's
Absolutely.
like,
Absolutely.
are you doing it? Do it
Absolutely.
your way. We don't do
Absolutely.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, Antonio, I think this has been a great conversation. I wanted to do one more thing before we wrap for today, and I want to make it real for you, right? This is Outliers Edge. So a lot of times we spend time thinking about how like talking about how you've been an outlier, but I need to know
hmm
like what's your edge right now, right? You talked about self-awareness, you talked about
hmm
various things. So like what's the thing that like is giving you sweaty palms? What's the thing that's like that's got you like being like, oh, I have a whole new level of self-awareness that I'm going through at this time. You
hmm
mind sharing that with us?
Yes. So this new world that I'm in, right? It's one of those things because I mean I wrote a book out of obedience to the higher calling, right? But I never set out to be like an author or a speaker, right? I've been getting speaking roles because of my longevity in technology, right? So I can speak to AI, I can speak to the next generation of work, I can speak to digital transformation, but this world that I'm in right now with the book and I'm signing autographs now, and I'm doing book, I'm like, since I'm doing book like meetings and things of that nature where they, hey, we're going to buy your book. People are changing. Some I had some speaking engagement that were already lined up, and they're like, no, we don't want you to talk about that anymore. We want you to talk about your book because people really are interested in this title and they want to know. And honestly, for me, that gives me sweaty palms because IT, I know like the back of my head, back of my hand. So I don't have to think about it. I can just show up, ad hoc. Hey, what do you want me to talk about? Great. I don't need to prepare anything. I don't need any slides. I can talk through 45 minutes of straight information that's going to be relevant to your audience. This is a little different, right? This is one of those things where like, man, I don't know the etiquette in this world. Like, how am I supposed to act? To your point, am I able to get on the stage and say, hey, you guys go get a headshot from like, I don't know, right? And so for me, that kind of gives me a little bit of sweaty palms. But here's what I love about it. Because I'm competitive, I can't lose, right? And so even if I do it scared, like I said earlier, I do it afraid. I have the freedom to be afraid and still do it, right? I don't have to worry about, and when I say I'm afraid, I'm not afraid of failing. I'm not afraid of saying the wrong thing. That's gone. I don't like the book helped me get totally rid of that. What I'm talking about is the afraid of like, oh wow, this is a different market, this is a different industry. I don't really know it like that. And I think that's actually good for me, right? Because if I get to the point where I know it too well, I'm gonna try to manipulate outcomes, and I don't want to manipulate outcomes. I just want to be pure, right? And show up there and be like, God, I didn't even realize I was supposed to stay there or not, and laugh about it, right? And say, yeah, I'm not as polished as you guys may have thought people were, but reality of the fact, I'm trying to speak to people because most of us aren't polished, and most of us are showing up performing, and we're not being who we are. And so I want to tell you about my kids. I want to tell you about my experience. I want to tell you about this amazing conversation that I had on a. I don't want to make it so structured to where it's like he's such robotic and he's so untouchable. This is real life, man. Let's talk about real things. Let's talk about real life. And I don't want to be so programmed in a way that doesn't come across.
Yeah, I think this is it. This is I think that's it. We get that you're real, right? We
Yeah.
also get that you play at a high level, right? Both of those things, those things come true and
Mm-hmm.
come through, but like but there's a realness to playing at that level of excellence, that level of
Mm-hmm.
like competition, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is like that's like, oh, okay, like he is who he is, who he is, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
and that creates a lot of trust, that creates a lot of ease.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the biggest thing is that like, okay, cool, he's not trying to be a leader right now,
Yeah.
but like I think that's the biggest like selling point,
Yeah.
right? It's do you walk your talk,
Mm-hmm.
and if not, then why should I listen? Because you're
Yeah.
stumbling all over yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what really comes through. I appreciate you just like allowing that to come through with no guards on. And we're gonna wrap up the conversation here. What I'm gonna ask here is outliers. This conversation is not meant to just live here, as Antonio said. Like this conversation can be living out decades out into the
Mm-hmm.
future,
Mm-hmm.
decades.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and to help make that happen, I'm going to ask you for two things. One, in the short term, I'm going to ask that you share this episode with everyone that you know. Go ahead and share it on social. Like this thing grows by word of mouth. But two, and I think this is even more important, what I want you to do is if you're listening to this, I want you to think of one person in your world right now who could really use this conversation and send it to them. I don't care if it's happening in the year that this conversation was made or 15 years later, right? This conversation was meant for that person. And you
Mm-hmm.
might have been the one that received this. I ask that you
Mm-hmm.
pay it forward. We call it one person, one conversation at a time initiative. I take time every single conversation to talk about it because I think it is that important. There's something here that says there's a splash in the pan, like, or there's longevity. And this
Mm-hmm.
conversation is one of those that is going to keep touching people's hearts and minds and opening up the way that they show up in the world. Let's unleash them. So please, if you would join us in it, it would mean the absolute world to me. All right. One person, one conversation at a time. Antonio, we're going to wrap our conversation. The way that I wrap up is I ask two questions. The first is for you to share how outliers can go deeper down the journey with you. And
Mm-hmm.
the second is for you to share. We're going to put outliers to the side. You had their outsides. We've talked directly to them. This one here is between me and you in this place. We're still going to record. We're going to share it. But like, um, I want to know what insight you got from this. Like, there's no, for me, like, anytime I have a conversation with someone, it's only to change the world, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
change their world in some way, right? So, in some way, we
Mm-hmm.
should have been able to lift it up. So, I'm curious about like how you're leaving this conversation differently than how you came in. And if you're like, no, actually, like, I'm feeling pretty solid, pretty much the same, then you can be like, I don't have any insights, and that's fine. So, if you can
Okay.
share the best way for us to go deeper with you, and then an insight
Mm-hmm.
that you were taking away from this conversation, we'll wrap up from there.
So I will say the best way to go deeper with me is to continue to share the message, right? You said this earlier, to continue, I'm not a one man show. This I don't own the rights to, even though it's my book, I don't own the rights to being yourself, right? I don't own the rights to showing up as you, right? And so number one, I would say, hey, listen, go be empowered and empower somebody else. And if you know somebody who needs the message on figuring out how to get out of their own way, just go to Amazon and get the book. Stop trying to be a leader, right? It's gonna the feedback that I've gotten so much is funny. People have told me they bought the book because they know me, so they're supporting me, and then they start reading and they're like, "Oh my God, like this is phenomenal." I was like, "Yeah, like I thank you for saying that, but it is a real message that people we have a lot of imposters out there, and we have a lot of people who are misguiding people, and we have a lot of people who are telling people the advice that they think they want to hear. And I'm saying, stop. There's a little boy, a little girl inside of you screaming to come out. That's been there all your life. Let them out. And so I would say, number one, keep sharing the message of being unapologetic for yourself. Keep sharing the message of showing up as the best version of you. You owe it to yourself to do that. And then I would also say, if you know people that are really struggling and just questioning this, have them go get the book. As far as insights, I'll say this. I mentioned this earlier. I'm looking at starting my own podcast. Man, you have a real talent and a real gift of being able to listen and hear what's unsaid, right? And that etiquette that you display. I don't know how long you've been doing this, honestly, but that level of etiquette that you display and your ability to allow somebody to be heard, not listened to, right? Your ability to allow somebody to be heard brings a level of comfort that I don't know if you really realize you have, right? Where you allow me to be me. Seriously, right? And I don't know how if anybody's ever told you that, but you have a keen awareness and a keen ability to hear things and to tap into things that is being said without being said. And that's a gift. That's a talent. I don't got that. I'm being honest with you, right? I don't have that. But that's an insight that I've gained. And I'm like, man, that's impressive to be able to just really lean into somebody and really pull at the heart of what they're saying, not just what they're saying out of their mouth, but also hear it in their heart. That's a gift. I don't know where that takes you. I don't know what that does for you. And I don't know where that goes as it aligns with your walk and your journey. But don't lose that ever. Don't ever lose the ability to hear people. Like seriously, man. I can't stress that enough. That's an insight that I'm now saying, okay, that's a muscle that I'm gonna work moving forward because I want to be able to make sure people feel heard whenever they show up to talk to me.
I take that in. Antonio, that means a lot. I deeply appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'm gonna keep that real. Like I'm receiving that on a real level.
Appreciate that.
I appreciate you,
Yeah,
outliers. We're gonna wrap up this conversation here, but like just go out there. Freedom begets freedom. Like just keep
yeah,
playing this game, right? And then go check out Antonio's book. Stop trying to be a leader. Go to Amazon, make it happen, and then like keep being out in the world. The world
yeah.
needs you. All right. The next time we talk, be you on purpose. Journey on.